get straight to our next topic now. Is the government wrong to raise the £2 cap on bus fares? Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer has announced that the price cap on bus journeys in England will be raised to £3 in tomorrow's budget. This rise is an increase on the current limit of £2, which was introduced under the previous Conservative government to help with the cost of living. There was speculation that any kind of cap could be scrapped altogether. But is this price rise fair, particularly when people are still struggling to make ends meet? Or maybe you think this is a tough decision and the government had to make it to balance the books. Are you one of the 3.4 million people in England who uses buses regularly? And if you are, do please ring and tell us what you think. So, Albia, it's going up from £2 to £3. It's going to stay £3 until the end of 2025. Do you think this is a very difficult time for this kind of increase to be imposed on people?
So the bus fare cap was introduced by the last Conservative government, the £2 bus fare cap. Prior to that, bus prices could be anything between £5 to £7 in deregulated rural areas or lower in London and Manchester, where it's quite heavily capped by the mayor. So it's a policy introduced by the last Conservative government, capped at £2. This Labour government has decided to increase it to £3 because of spending commitments. It will still be cheaper than it was before the £2 cap. So actually, I think it's a sensible measure to try and save some money. I appreciate people aren't going to be happy that fares are essentially going up by 50%, but £2 to £3 isn't a huge jump. And even at this higher capped price, it's still cheaper than it was before.
And yet, Marina, if you're getting a bus twice a day, we assume you are, you're going, you're coming home again, it's another £2 a day. If you're doing that 5 days a week, it's an extra £10 a week. That's a sizable amount of money, isn't it, if you look at it over a year or even over a month? And it's a time when winter's just about to hit. People are finding it very difficult.
And I've got to say, initially I had the same thinking as you. I was like, they've got to make cost savings. It actually feels like £2, £3, not so bad. But actually, you think about this, who uses the bus? This is going to disproportionately impact the poor. And look, I think it's a case of real civil service brain here. They've gone, well, there's not an economic benefit to this. For every £1 we invest, we only get up to 91p back. That doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. It's like knowing the price of everything and the value of nothing. This is going to impact people who are going to work. If they're going to work on the bus, that they possibly don't have a car. And also, how does this work against Labour's green commitments to try and get people using public transport?
Persuading people onto public transport by charging them an extra £2 a day minimum. Is that going to work out? Let's ask Claire, who's calling from East Sussex. Hi, Claire, thanks for ringing. Are you a bus user?
Hello. Well, actually, on Sunday, I'm on a reduced income at the moment because I'm looking after my husband, so I had to give up work. Right. And I'm not a car driver by choice, he is. We had a clash of appointments, and then I thought I'd go and see my daughter who lives 5 miles away. So I got on the bus, £2. I thought, lovely. Yeah. And the bus was actually quite full. It wasn't elderly people with free bus passes. There was a mixture of people. I stayed over. The next morning, I got the bus home again for £2, and this is a 5 mile, radius. And it was a half term, but there was still a lot of people on the bus, surprisingly, for that time. Well, it was quite early, about 9ish. And, a mixture. And I was speaking to a woman at the bus stop, and she said, I love this now. It's £2, and I can walk home from work. And I thought, brilliant. And I said to my husband, I can't wait. We can go further afield on this £2. And then all of a sudden you hear this. And I'm thinking, well, one, it's keeping cars off the road. People are, the bus service is pretty good where I live, and it was just a feel-good thing. Oh, we're getting something, with the cost of living and all the other, the mess we've had to put up with over the last few months. It just felt, oh, this is really nice. And when you're on a limited income, I think Marina pointed out, you say, oh, it's only £2 if you're doing a return journey. But, 5 days a week for a worker or somebody who's not pensionable but is not working or what have you, yes. It makes a difference when you're counting pennies. And I just think, why, fix it?
Tell me something, would it put you off? I mean, this extra £1, you've got to pay £1 there, £1 back, that's £2. But if you travel regularly, it mounts up very, very quickly. Would that be sufficient, that £1 rise, Claire, to put you off and say, well, actually, I'm not going?
Well, if you were doing 5 or 6 trips a week, it would. But also, the train is a bit more expensive. But now I get the train, which is going to be about 5 minutes from my house, because I live near the station. And so for what they put the bus fare up now, I can actually get a return fare to the same destination. So really, I think they've cut off their nose to spite their face, really. And I think it's going to be a really unpopular decision. All right, times are hard. We all know that. I mean, you'd have to be living on Mars if you didn't know what's going on in the country. Yeah. But I think this was I'm a Labour supporter anyway, but this is a very, very bad decision. And you could say, it's only £1. But if you're living off the bread line, £1's £1. I'm sorry. You're looking down the sofa for £1 if you're really poor. So it's wrong. It's
Gosh,
wrong,
you sound just like my late dad. £1, Vanessa, is £1. And they used to say, who's going to give you £1? To which the answer was meant to be no one. I always think, now, what about your dad? Maybe your dad could have given you £1, but not in my family. So when Claire says £1 is £1 free and clear, after tax, after everything else you've got to pay for, is still £1. And an extra £1 is an extra £1. So, and you'll know if you haven't got it. So you wonder, don't you, in a way, whether this is another example of this government being tone deaf.
I think it is. And I think, what if you're taking multiple journeys? When I used to go to school, you had to take four buses as a return journey. That's a 50%, more than a 50% increase. And again, just think about who takes the bus.
Marina,
I'd like to bring in, can we bring in Mary and Devon, who's on the line? Mary, what do you think of this £1 increase?
Hello. I think that we're supposed to be encouraging people to think of the environment, and surely it's more environmentally friendly to encourage people to use the bus. Also, it's if you've got, say, a child with you, that's, our nearest town is Tavistock, which is not a huge drive, but it's sort of £4 there and back for one person. That's £8 with a child. It mounts up quite a lot, quite quickly.
It totally does. And obviously, it's a very different relationship with public transport when you live in the countryside. I mean, in a city, there are all sorts of ways of getting about. But in the country, you have to cover so many miles just to get to the nearest destination. Are you fairly dependent on your bus service, Mary? Does it really matter a great deal?
Actually, well, I've always driven, but I've now got epilepsy, so I can't drive.
Ah, OK.
So I am very dependent on the bus. And it's expensive.
Yes, and will it make enough of a difference to mean you won't take the bus, or will it make enough of a difference to mean somewhere else in your life you're going to have to cut back? How's it going to affect you?
Luckily, well, not luckily, but because I'm ill, I do get a bus pass. But before that, if I hadn't needed the bus, it would make a massive difference. It makes a massive difference for my son to go to Tavistock. If he goes to Tavistock, well, this week's half term, if he wanted to go in every day, that's £4 for in and back as it is. So that's £20 just before he's even done anything. But that extra £1 each way is going to make quite a difference.
All right, well, I'm glad at least you do have the free bus pass, Mary, and thank you very much indeed for this. You wonder, don't you, whether there's someone somewhere in an ivory tower making these decisions, not thinking about people who have to get the bus and exactly the sort of people they might turn out to be and how much this might impact them.
I think they are thinking about it because the cap is still in place. It was more expensive. It was £5 to £7 before the cap was brought in. It's going to be around half that price. I appreciate everyone feels quite passionate about people needing to find an extra £1, but we don't get something for nothing in the world. Things have to be paid for, either by individuals or by taxpayers, which is paid for by individuals. So things have got to be paid for. Buses don't run for free. Petrol is not free. All of these things have to be paid for. The government is subsidising something, and we should probably be grateful for that in these times of economic hardship.
The only thing is, when you say find an extra £1, it's not an extra £1. They've got to find £3 per journey. They've got to get home. They can't just go somewhere and not come back. So then we're talking about £6, and that's the first day.
So what should the government subsidise bus travel for everyone and just make it free? If you ask the public that question, they'd probably say yes. And it's not affordable.
If you look at some other countries, again, comparable countries, their transport system is far better funded, heavily subsidised to encourage people to use it. And in this country, our transport, don't even get me started on the trains, to go to Manchester, you may as well, someone tweeted, you may as well buy an old banger and abandon it when you get to Manchester because the price of the ticket is nearing sometimes £200 for a single.
You could fly somewhere far away and have some delightful sun and a holiday for the cost. Let's talk to Marie in Manchester. Hello, Marie. What do you think of the price of a bus fare going up from £2 and the cap to £3?
Hello, good morning, Vanessa. Good morning, panel.
Hi.
I'm appalled. I'm appalled because some pensioners has only got the pension, they've not got a bus pass, and they can't afford this. £3 there and £3 back. Hospitals, doctors. If you're going out for a bit of bite to eat, they've got to pay gas, electric, water, council tax, food, clothing. I'm lucky I've got a bus pass. I'm 80 odd.
Yes.
We've got 2 buses on this route in Manchester. We've got the 59 and the 41. 41 hourly, never turns up hardly. And they want to rise the bus fares. If you're going to a hospital, you either have to get a taxi or get a bus to Cheetham Hill and then get another bus from Cheetham Hill to North Manchester General. It's ridiculous.
Marina, which pensioners don't have bus passes or can't access free bus passes?
Sorry, most of them have bus passes, but a lot of them haven't got any extra money, like pension credit, works pensions or anything like that.
I understand.
Marie, thanks for the call. Let's move on to Deborah in Nottinghamshire. Hi, Deborah.
Hi.
Hi. So the price going up by £1 a fare, how do you respond?
It's just, at the end of the day, before the cap came on, we paid bus fares. Nobody argued about it. They put it on the £2 cap, which was a bonus, as you see it. The country has no money. We don't have a magic porridge pot. We need to fix the state of the actual country. And at the end of the day, £1 is £1, but it's £1 that we spent before the £2 cap, and this is just getting stupid.
And how will it affect you personally? I mean, will it be affecting you to the point where you're thinking, well, I can't go because I can't afford the fare? Or will it be that you're going to cut back on something else that you feel is necessary? How's it going to work in practice?
If I'm honest with you, I usually, where we are in Nottingham, we have what we call a group rider, which I've got a 12-year-old son and also grandchildren. So then I buy a group rider. So the £2 thing, I don't very often use.
OK. So it might be that almost everyone we're speaking to who's phoned in either does have a bus pass or has some other way of doing it. I wonder how many people are going to be directly affected. Deborah, do you suspect that many people will have a way round it and it won't be affecting them immediately? Or do you think that people that you know will be thinking, oh, my God, I've got to find an extra tenner a week or more?
Well, they had the tenner of the week before the cap came on.
Yeah.
I wonder, though, if we look at this in the round, to be devil's advocate, if Labour then announces things in the budget that do help those who are the poorest in society, who will be impacted by this kind of thing, for example, a rise on the living wage, then maybe, they are seeking to amend this, to make amends so it doesn't impact those people and the money is spent in a better way. So, again, maybe we have to view the budget holistically rather than looking piecemeal at the different policies.
On the other hand, each individual decision has an impact on the next one. It's like a kind of house of cards, isn't it? Let's talk to Lucy in Essex. Hi, Lucy. So it's going to go up from £2 to £3 per bus fare. How do you feel about that?
I think the cap is fine. The issue is with the more long-term journeys. My friend, she travels every other weekend to see her nan up north, and it's literally half the price to travel in her car.
Right.
So they're not helping people use public transport, which is better for everyone. They're putting the fares way too high for long-distance journeys. I think the £2 cap is fine, but I don't think they should put it down because we're trying to encourage people to travel together.
Yeah, so this is going to be, you think, a measure that's going to force people back into their cars or force them to take to the roads, which is what we're trying to put them off doing.
It's not going to encourage them out of their cars, that's for sure.
Do you think it's a kind of wrong move, that it's kind of taking people in the wrong direction? It should have been thought through and this is not the right decision.
As I say, she travels every other weekend up north to see her nan, and it's less than half the price of travelling by train. She actually looked at going on train and said, no, it's not worth it, I'll use my car. Yeah,
which is exactly what we're told we don't want, Albie.
It is. I mean, rail prices in this country compared to our European counterparts are too high. I expect this will be an area of rare agreement between Marina and I, but I actually do think we should nationalise railways. Privatisation of railways in Britain has not worked. In all other similar European economies, France, Germany, Spain, no one that you could call socialist countries, they have a much better rail system, high-speed trains.
Let's bring in Gemma. Gemma's in Berkshire. Hi, Gemma. What do you think about the price cap being raised?
Good morning, Vanessa.
Morning.
To be honest, I'm just really disgusted when I heard about it yesterday. I mean, Labour are constantly saying they're there for the working people. They're certainly not there for the working class people, and including those that may be on disability, who are carers and unable to work. This is going to hit the kind of bottom end of the socio-economic scale. These are the people that are going to suffer, not the middle classes, or higher. It just feels like an attack on the working people. I mean, it's a 50% increase. That is a lot of money, but, that's not inflationary. I just feel that, a lot of these people aren't going to have a choice in terms of whether or not they can actually choose to drive or get the bus.
Absolutely.
That is their only form of transport. I think it would make more sense that would hit to make more money is to increase the duty on tobacco and alcohol. Even just as slightly, that would surely recoup that money. That
Gemma, I
£1
appreciate the
increase
call.
each way.
Thank you very much indeed. Later on...